Hi and welcome to the course Housing Market in Korea. We are in part 1 of the course. Today we will cover a quick overview of the real estate market and a few trends that are happening lately. Let's get started. First, as you will be able to see when you're in Korea, due to high volume of population that is in the cities, usually the big cities such as Seoul and Busan, Daegu, Incheon, those cities will mainly have high-rise building types, and that is versus the more of the countryside, which there is no problem of the high volume of population, and they will have lower houses. Of course, you will also be able to find lower houses in the city. In Korea, we also have different types of housing. So we have apartments, we have officetels, which are basically a mix between an office and a hotel. So this is the name. We have villa types, share houses, and many more options to choose from. Another feature that you can see in Korea housing market is, again, due to the volume of population, old neighborhoods will usually go through something that's called 재개발. It means redevelopment, and usually it will be neighborhoods that the houses are lower, and in that case construction companies will take over the neighborhood, will break down what they have currently, and will build high-store buildings instead. In Korea, when we're talking about the size of the house or apartment or whatever it is, we usually don't use square meters. We will use a unit called pyeong, and 1 pyeong is equal to 3.3 square meters. So you will be able to calculate to square meters when you know how much pyeong is your place. Now, a very important thing to know when it comes to housing in Korea is the deposit system. But basically, whether you're renting your house or having a lease, and this we will cover in the course Finding a House in Korea, you will need to pay a deposit. This deposit is a refundable amount that you give to your landlord, to the house owner, in order to live in that house. This deposit is not your rent. So if you're renting, for example, you will pay the monthly rent on top of this deposit. In return, the deposit will be smaller amount. If you're having jeonse on the house, which is kind of a lease, you only pay this deposit. You're not going to pay the rent fees. And in both cases, at the end of your contract, you're going to get this money back. And this is kind of insurance amount for the house owner. So if people are not paying their rent for a few months, or if there is damage in the apartment, the house owner can use their right to use this deposit. But if everything is okay, this money will go back to you at the end of the contract. And this is how the system goes. So it can be for a 1-year contract, but people also take deposits for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months contract. So this is the deposit system and how it works. And again, we will have more information about this in our course, Finding a House. So you can check that course as well. Let us look at the trends that we have in the real estate market lately. In 2017 and mainly in 2018, the house market in Korea has saw a huge increase in prices, and prices really soar. And it was not only in the main cities, it was actually across the country that this increase in pricing has occurred. Because of this increase, the government has actually started to take measures in late 2018 and 2019 in order to control the situation, and we could see a slight decrease in prices in early 2019. And that would bring me to the next point, which is that the government is actually looking to deal with this problematic housing market. So in 2019, the government will try to decrease prices and make houses more affordable. And if we're talking about prices, these days, in order to buy a house in Korea, you will need to have 10 to 30% of the house value as seed money. Also, due to the circumstances that we have discussed, the government is supporting and allowing different loans in quite attractive rates, especially for people with lower income. And that is to help people to actually purchase a house and not only live through monthly rent And another interesting trend that I wanted to share with you is we currently slowly see that the houses and apartment size are actually becoming smaller. So these days in Korea, we have a lot of couples who not necessarily have children, or a lot of people who are actually living alone. And because of this population, which is getting bigger and bigger, there is less and less need for big apartments or big houses. This was a quick overview of the Korean housing market and some trends that we can see currently. And also with this, we wrap up part 1. In part 2, we will start to discuss about the real estate agencies. I'll see you in part 2.